Welcome to On the Ballot with Ballotpedia, where we connect people to politics by providing neutral, nonpartisan, and reliable information on our government, how it works, and where it's headed.
Hello and welcome back to On the Ballot. I'm Norm Leahy, your host. I've been AWOL for a long time. Vacation calls and you gotta go. But it is good to be back, and it is good to have this guest with me, Leslie Graves, the CEO and founder of Ballotpedia, here with what do we want to call this? What do we call this show? We call the show Office Hours. So, Leslie, thanks for coming on the show. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, and it is summer. It's the depths of summer. It's humid as all blazes here. It feels like I'm swimming in a fishbowl here in Virginia. But summer's always a good time. Everybody's got book lists. Everybody's going to the beach or the mountains or wherever it may be, and they're reading books. And it got me to thinking about something that you and I had talked about. It's weeks ago, where we want to learn more about the people who come to Ballotpedia. What are you thinking? What are you doing? What grabs you? What makes you tick? That kind of maybe sort of. But we're going to start doing this in your columns. Is we're going to start asking readers questions. And one of the questions that you asked me that really sort of hit me upside the head was, let me see if I can get it right. It was a book that I had read, first book I had ever read that really grabbed my attention and made me ask questions. Fortunately, I had a good answer, and I've thought about it a lot since you first asked me. And I want to amend that answer. First one, I told you about a book I had when I was 8 years old about the President of the United States. Grabbed my attention. Second one was Robinson Crusoe, written for 8-year-olds. Because what 8-year-old boy doesn't want to say, I can build a fort like that, it'll be awesome. But tell me about the questions that we want to ask our readers. What do we want to get to know? What are we trying to do here?
Thank you. Also, Norm, welcome back from a week of reading books in the high desert in New Mexico and Santa Fe, and choosing to spend your vacation sitting around seminar rooms talking about those books with other people who also chose to do that for their vacation.
It was awesome.
Yeah. I hope you had a really great time.
Absolutely.
It is really, to me, I think this is one of the reasons for the popularity of podcasts, because if you read a wonderful book at home by yourself, after you get out of college or graduate school, you are generally reading the book at home by yourself. You can feel a little bit lonely after you're done reading the book. Like if it's just wonderful and it really hit you in a lot of different ways, then you don't have anybody to talk to you about it, which can be kind of sad and disappointing. So you can, but for almost any book like that, you can at least go on your podcast platform and Google whatever the name of the book was, and you will oftentimes find several podcasts where people talk about that book. And that doesn't actually fill the void of having other people to talk to about it. It comes pretty close.
And when we talk about books have the potential to move us emotionally.
Yeah.
And they have the potential to change our opinions and to maybe even influence how we live our lives. And not to get too out woo-woo with it, but Ballotpedia is known for talking about politics. But if we ask a question of readers in your next column, say, what book has really influenced them? It doesn't necessarily have to be about politics, does it? It can be about anything, right?
Yeah, well, I think for most people, if they try to answer the question that you and I were talking about, which is thinking back into your childhood, what book did you read where you thought, okay, wow, reading is the best thing ever? This is so, it was exciting, it was riveting. It told me some things I didn't know about. It made me think about things. One of the questions we ask are all of our candidates that we're covering in our candidate connection survey is name a favorite book. And the answers that they give to that are often very revealing of what their underlying political philosophy might be. I mean, not totally, but it's pretty interesting what people say. But that mentioning your favorite book is different than trying to think about what was the first book that I was exposed to or read that really electrified me, and made me think about things in a new way. It's interesting that for you, it was when you're 8 years old. I don't think that happened to me. I think I was probably more like 10 or 11 or 12.
Yeah.
But
No,
I'd like to know that for our readers. And could I just say one more thing?
sure, go ahead.
There's, your long form books, and I think people, probably a lot of people who read Ballotpedia read long form books, um, multi chapters, and oftentimes as you're nonfiction, you're going through it. The first chapter, I don't believe this. Second chapter, no. Third chapter, for but finally when you're getting into the sixth or seventh chapter, you're like, well, maybe this, because the author throughout the course of a 200 to 350 page book is able to make a sustained argument. But then there's obviously short form journalism, just that we see on X or in our daily newsletters. It's not exact, it's somewhere between short form and long form journalism. I'm really curious to know, we'll ask this as a question at some point, why people read short and medium and long form political journalism. What need and why are they doing that? What makes them do that? And there are two theories I have about that. There might be other theories. I'd like to know what they are. Or that they do it because they feel like it's their civic duty to keep up on things
Mm.
so that they can be an informed citizen and responsibly participate in the decision making of the country that they live in. What's
Because
their duty? Yeah.
we can make an assumption that
Yeah.
people who come to Ballotpedia are readers. They're curious.
Yeah.
They're but
Yeah.
it's not they're not just hungry for content. They want
Yeah.
context and they want the information that they really can't
Mhm.
find anywhere else. And that's
Uh-huh.
what we earlier when you talked about you're finishing a book on your own and
Mhm.
really wanting it to share with somebody. There's kind of a community around
Mhm.
Ballotpedia, don't you think?
Mhm. Well, I think that if we could offer to our readers of the Brew, for example, our daily newsletter, would you like to get together at the local library for 90 minutes with other people who also obsessively read the Brew? So I think people would want to do that because again, you just want to check in with other people instead of just. I mean, I would wanna do that. Of course, I get to do that because I can just talk to people on our staff about it, which we do all day long. But there's another reason that people might choose to consume political content, and that is they just find it so darned interesting. So
Um,
it's almost addictive. And that would be like maybe people who read a lot about sports because the deeper you go into it, the more you know, and the more you know about something, the more interesting you find it. So let's say you've never read word one about mountain climbing,
Mm.
but you start to read about it, and then you keep reading about it in a year, you're obsessed with it, right? Probably some of us have had that experience. So I don't really know if people who read a lot of political information, why they do it, or if they really know why they do it, but I'm curious about that.
and it's also gets to the kind of political information that they
Mhm.
read. Are they reading news? Are they reading opinion?
Yeah.
Are they data hounds? Do they just want to
Yeah.
see the numbers? There's a
Mhm.
lot of ways to approach politics, and I think one of I know it's a trope that's out there that, "Oh,
Mhm.
people read the things in their silos and they don't break out of
Mhm.
their silos." My sense tell me if I'm wrong, if,
Mhm.
my sense is that Ballotpedia readers are not necessarily in a silo, they're trying to break out of
I suspect that they are people who think there might be more.
them.
We have all had the experience. We have it when we're 10 and under. We have it in our teens of a friend maybe coming to us and saying, "You wouldn't believe what John just did or said," and they tell us the whole story, and we believe the whole story 100%, and we're horrified at what John did, and then later on,
Right.
we find out John's side of the story, and we're like, "What? What the heck?" And for me, at least, that probably happened a lot of times before I realized that when somebody comes at me and they're like, "You just wouldn't believe this," that there probably is another side to the story. And I think we've all had that experience reading about different arguments about different policy outcomes where most people on the internet or in media. Many people have a paid job doing it, but not journalists, but advocates are there to tell you their side of the story, and they're all good. They're really good at it. They get big six-figure salaries for weaving a story about their side of the story, about why their side is right. If you read that, you're like, wow, yeah. Just like you thought that your friend was telling you the God's honest truth 100% back when you were 11 years old. And but most of us have gotten to the point where we think, well, maybe there's more. I'm not sure, but I'm gonna at least try to be somewhat open. And sometimes people give the advice that you should pick 2 or 3 blogs or websites that you know are coming from a different political predilection than yours and force yourself to read those every morning
Right.
so that you're not in your bubble.
Right.
I think that would be really painful for most people. So,
Yes. Yeah, I agree.
we try to talk about politics and share things, but not in a way that people feel like they're having needles stabbed in their eyeballs.
Because let's be honest, a lot of
Yeah.
politics feels like that, either that or walking over hot coals, and that's why a lot of people just say, "I don't have anything to do with it. I have enough
Right.
I have enough of that in my daily life. Why
Yeah.
do I wanna add this to?" But that's
Mm,
that's a problem, really, isn't it?
right. It is. You know, I read a really interesting long form journalism recently that said that we are now in a post literate society. And the claim that they were making is that, back 400 years ago, only 5 to 10% of the population had books and could read. And for everybody else, it was still a oral society where thoughts and ideas and facts were transmitted purely mouth to mouth, mouth to ear.
Right.
And they said that's the way it is now. There are only 5 or 10% of the population actually still reads and deeply considers what they're reading, and everybody else just watches YouTube videos. I'm oversimplifying, but so they said, so we are a post-literate society. We got back to the way it was 400 years ago. I don't really believe that because, I mean, I don't know, but what do you think about that? That's
I
kind
think
of a strong claim. Yeah.
I'm biased as a writer, and as
Uh-huh.
this is going on YouTube, please, audience, you're not post-literate. But no, I think what happens is that
Mm.
people consume a great deal of text
Uh-huh.
that is information free. I mean, honest facts, honest, provable things that you can go out and verify on some other platform. They consume a lot of stuff that is meant to appeal to their emotions rather than their intellect,
Uh-huh.
and it leaves them sort of like eating a bunch of Cheetos. You
Uh-huh.
might feel full, but you had a terrible meal, and you're probably gonna feel bad, and I think
Mhm.
that's the kind of information environment that we're in, and that's something that Ballotpedia tries to work against.
Yeah, we do. And we appreciate all of our readers, and it's inspiring to us to know that there are people who want to absorb and consume the kind of the kind of coverage that we provide for political events.
And, just a side note there, Cheetos are delicious, and yes, I would eat the whole bag, but I'm not going to today.
Wait,
So,
so you're
but
are you anti-MAHA?
I'm anti so many things, I don't even wanna get started, but I'm pro many, many
Uh,
things too. But, just to let's put a bow on this because I know that you're
mm,
super busy, but also in the columns, we're gonna start asking readers questions,
nah.
and we may wanna bring those answers, not the people who answer the questions, but
Well,
their answers, and talk about them here on the show, or at least read them out loud. So, for folks who see, um, Leslie's next column in the Brew, or a week from now, we'll have that question in there, and if you want your to share your answer with other readers and other listeners, uh, let us know, and we'll share it here on the ballot so that everybody else can see what's going on out there in listenership and readership, and maybe we'll find some books that we're all keen to share and ideas that we're keen to share too. So, Leslie, do you have an idea what that first question might be? Is it going to be the one you asked me?
I wanna I do. I would like our faithful readers to think about the first book that electrified them.
There's your homework. The first
Mhm.
book that electrified you. Don't think about it too much. What was that first book? I have asked, by the way, so I've asked some Ballotpedia authors that.
Uh,
The women are much quicker to answer than the men. I don't know why.
well, I wouldn't be because I maybe I shouldn't be, but I'm kind of embarrassed that my books would probably be things like Alice in Wonderland.
But it's a real thing. It works. So,
Well,
that's
it was probably because I read it and I thought I wondered, I seriously contemplated whether that had really happened. So you can see why I would just be embarrassed to go down the rabbit hole.
Yeah, I was convinced that Robinson Crusoe was a documentary and I was gonna be able to build a fort because you never know. Um, but anyway, look for that first question in
Okay.
Leslie's column. It'll be in the Daily Brew, and Leslie Graves, thank you so much for joining us today on the ballot. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Norm.